executive recruiter, and I used to be an ex-marketing person. I used to travel a lot. And then 2003 June, after the technology bust, I was looking for a marketing job, and I met this company, a boutique consulting company called Bridgegate in Irvine, to look for a marketing position for me. And as I met with them, they turned around and put this entrepreneurial idea in my head. Why don't you set up a marketing desk for us? So it's an LLC partnership firm, and they decided, why don't I turn around and help them set up a marketing desk, because they didn't have that skill set internally. So that's how I got into this recruiting profession at a more executive level, so mainly director levels and above, for marketing. So that's where I started focusing mainly first on the technology industry, marketing positions, product management, business development, sales. And then I moved into, because technology hadn't still taken off after the 2000 bust, I then moved myself into recognizing another niche area for me, which was Web 2.0 and mobile. The reason I went there was because, coming from a background with marketing, I could appreciate what they were trying to sell on the other side of the table, because I understood what their revenue models were and how they were looking to advertise via the internet or via the mobile phone, and how revenues made sense. And that's how I started recognizing my prospective companies that I would work with or who would be my clients. So that's how then I did that for 3 years, and this was all with Bridgegate. And from there I moved into what is digital Hollywood, because for the last 3 years digital Hollywood has really taken off. Reason I say that is because now Hollywood is at a point where they recognize that using the digital medium, they can provide content through a lot of different avenues, and that content can be also consumed by a few more different ways versus the traditional movies or television programs or cable that we used to watch. So one of the things I used to face, and that's what I was coming to as a woman entrepreneur, was that when you work for other companies and they tell you they will be open-minded, at the end of the day, they're lovely, no question about it, but at the end of the day, there is a difference when you're a mom and when you're a dad. And I have a 5.5-year-old who turns 6 next month. And so one of the things I realized once she turned 4 was there are things to go to do in school and things, and I can't do those when I'm part of another company. And that's when I took the decision to be an entrepreneur. And I think too, I had a lot of support and push from my husband, who stood right with me and said, why would you work for someone else when you're building your own book of business and executing on it? You should be doing it yourself. So the way I'm succeeding is, like I said, one of the biggest benefits now I have as being an entrepreneur is that I can actually work from a home office. Thank you to the technology and the internet and the phone services and the video conferencing services that we have. And two, actually, fortunately for me, I've never had bad criticism per se, but it was just internal feeling that I should be around more for my daughter. And I think that's where I'm getting a whole lot of advantage being on my own. There are times I work from, so just to give you a quick idea, I work from after I drop her to school 9:30 to 5:30 when my husband picks her up and brings her home. And then 5:30 to 8:39 is her time and dinner. After which I can go back to work at 10, because all I need is my computer, and that's it. So the other benefits that an organization has working with me is, especially when I'm working, for example, in the kind of profession I do, which is executive recruiting, I am people-oriented, so I can talk about that. I mean, this morning I missed a call because I had a little birthday party come up for a teacher, and I shared that with my candidate, and he was very happy. And he's like, oh, you know what, that's important because I have older kids, but I know how important it is. So I think that's where it's a good icebreaker when I start a conversation with a candidate, and it's a brand new candidate at an executive level, but it softens the whole conversation.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And I met with some recruiting firms there. So Australia, I can definitely see advantages getting in there. but in New Zealand, it's more hospitality recruiting, so wasn't something I worked with. And the other area I'm looking at is India, because again, there I still have connections from my days when I used to work there. Plus, I have wonderful cousins who are now in some very good positions, so I'm definitely looking at that from an international perspective. So the most effective way to market me is be at conferences like the Econ 2010 and many other such conferences where I get to interact with people, and especially when I say people, entrepreneurs. And that has been absolutely fascinating because I've met some great entrepreneurs who have some great stories and who you learn from just by attending a session with them and shaking hands with them. So that's been one of my marketing successes, is being able to build such relationships.